I think the great strength of FIEC, which we want to make sure we never lose and pray God doesn't happen, one of the strengths that we have is that the thing that does compel us is the large vision of reaching Australia, is conquering Australia for Jesus. And we have a fellowship at the moment where that's clear and evident and central. And although we have lots of other needs that are met by being together, it's very clear that that's the heartbeat. We want to reach the country for Jesus, and we want to do it in the only way you can, which is by bringing the word of Jesus to bear in people's lives. And so that kind of evangelicalism, more particularly reformed evangelical heart, is very firmly at the centre of who we are. As the purest form of the gospel, it expresses the very heart of God is the one who saves sinners. Without the God sovereignly working through his Son by the word, nothing happens. So that very much is the heartbeat of who we are, and we're all conscious and concerned to guard that with each other, to share that and spread that and make that multiply around the country. And that's an exciting thing to be part of. At the present, we need to build some structures to make sure that we ensure that doesn't fragment. And I think there's a lot of wisdom amongst the gathered group to ensure that we'll do that under God in the best way we can. When we started FIEC, the big hope was that it would be a place where churches, especially in the early stages when they were small, as all our church plants are, could come together and find fellowship with people in the same situation, going through the same struggles, and actually have a chance to look a little bit outside their circumstance, get some refreshment, get some energising to get back into the work again. And that has certainly been the case as guys come from lonely works, all isolated places. They've come together, they've got a like-minded fellowship. It's powerful, it's a recalibration, it's a refocusing. For us as a church, it's been helpful. We're not these days anyway, the small church, but what we find helpful is as our team comes and is part of this whole fellowship, we keep being drawn back into the bigger vision. You know, it's not just about the Central Coast, it's about the country and the world. It's to see and hear the stories of people who are working in different places, to hear their struggle, to pray with them, be part of it with them, to have that partnership, energises us, flows back into the work in our context to energise young guys, to give them a vision beyond just the Central Coast for the country, for the world. It's powerful, really good. We went independent, and a lot of our churches went independent, but it wasn't because we had any beef with denominationalism. We had no grief there. We just wanted to get out and preach the gospel, and there was no platform to enable us to do it. So we went independent. But it was very soon that we realised independence is impossible, really. It's un-Christian, and it's stupid. It's impossible. We weren't really independent. We were trading on the networks and friendships of many other people, many other churches who generously gave to us and supported us. We weren't independent. No one really is independent. It's un-Christian because the gospel calls us to be together. The gospel calls us to gather, and we gather as churches, and it's natural that churches gather with churches as part of the cause of Christ. It's the way the gospel calls us to be. So independence is really running counter to the whole feel and theme of the Bible. It's stupid because on your own you might impact a few thousand people. Even a big church might impact a region. But the work is so large, we've got to impact 23 million people in the country. And on our own, we'll never fulfil the Great Commission. And so it's stupid. We want to leverage off the work that God is doing in many places to keep our vision bigger, to keep the vision of those in our congregations from becoming parochial and small-minded. We want them to see the harvest is bigger than just their local patch, that it's the world, that it's Australia, that it's it. And so you're foolish to actually try and do it on your own when there are like-minded people around to gather with, and that's what we're trying to do. The future in very simple terms is reach Australia, conquer Australia, bring the gospel to Australia. In kind of the immediate short term, we've set ourselves in the next 10 years to see 100 churches planted, but we want to see via those 100 churches planted a new kind of revitalisation of expository preaching, Bible-based, Christ-centred churches planted. We don't just want to have a massive crowd. We want to have people who are deeply grounded in the Word, churches that are humbly captured by the gospel and the ministry of the Word, that are then able to grow.